Little is known about Melania Trump's friends. Why is that? Maybe she doesn't really have any, or perhaps keeping them isn't her strong suit.
It is not concern and focus of mine.
Take Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, for example. Stephanie once considered Melania more than just a friend. She followed her to Washington, D.C., helped orchestrate the 2017 inauguration, and even advised her as the incoming First Lady. But that friendship took a sharp nosedive when accusations of outrageous overspending during the inauguration surfaced. And guess who Melania let take the fall?
Melania and I first met when I was at Vogue, and it was before she had met Donald. She was single, she was striving, she wasn't, a Vogue cover model yet. So the Melania I first met versus the Melania there is today is a very different person.
Stephanie says Melania threw her under the bus, allowing the media to paint her as the culprit behind the financial fiasco. I begged her to just come out and say that I was her friend, I was loyal. Nope, nothing, Stephanie shared in an interview. So the betrayal, the pain of that was like, I gave up my whole life for this woman. No one else would help Melania. I mean, she was alone. Stephanie admits she should have known better, adding, she is just like her husband. Ouch.
She was my friend. She was different than Donald was. She was different than the other Trump children.
And now?
Oh, a Trump is a Trump is a Trump.
Things got so bad that Stephanie started taping her phone calls with Melania. Yep, you heard that right, taping their conversations. And those tapes became the foundation for her book, Melania and Me. What's wild is that even after Stephanie was cast out of the White House, she and Melania kept talking.
They say I'm complicit. I'm the same like him. I support him. I don't say enough. I don't do enough.
No,
where I am, I'm working like my ass off.
I know.
That Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right?
Remember Melania's infamous I don't care jacket? The one she wore on a trip to visit migrant kids? Well, Stephanie called her about that too. At the time, a mutual friend of theirs, fashion designer Hervé Pierre, was getting dragged online. People assumed he was responsible for the jacket because he designed dresses for Melania in the past. But the jacket was a $39 find from Zara, not a custom design.
Why did you wear it?
I wore the jacket to go on the plane and off the plane, and it was for the people and for the left-wing media who are criticizing me, and I want to show them that I don't care.
Stephanie begged Melania to clear things up and defend Hervé. Melania's response? She admitted Hervé had nothing to do with the jacket, but refused to make a statement. Instead, she laughed and said, I'm driving liberals crazy, that's for sure. And they deserve it. Talk about callous. Stephanie was horrified, saying Hervé was devastated by the backlash. When I sent Pierre the photograph of the jacket, he immediately wrote me back saying, is this Photoshop? And I wanted so desperately to say yes, Stephanie recalled. And the callousness didn't stop there. Stephanie says even getting Hervé paid for his work on Melania's first dress was like pulling teeth. She added, there is no empathy or remorse for the fact that here's someone who is blamed because he's known as her stylist.
Well, about the controversy of this White House, I don't have so much to say.
But let's get back to the recordings. Stephanie knew it was a risky move. After all, taping a friend is a pretty big betrayal in itself. But according to her, Melania wasn't a friend anymore by the time she hit record. When I pressed record on the conversations I had with her, it was only after she, Donald, and the Presidential Inauguration Committee tried to make me the scapegoat and to falsely accuse me for the overspending of $107 million of the inaugural funds, Stephanie explained. Her reason for recording was simple: self-preservation. First and foremost, I taped to protect myself because I needed to be protected once I knew I was going to be under investigation.
When I first started taping Melania, I had already left the White House and had already been accused of a criminal crime.
But what do you think? Was hitting record the right move, or does it cross a line? Well, it's tough to keep friends when you're in Melania's position. With the constant spotlight and pressure, sometimes you have to be ruthless to protect yourself and not get broken by it all. But to understand how she got here, we should rewind to January 1987 in Ljubljana, Slovenia, back when it was still part of Yugoslavia.
I grew up in Slovenia, and I went to school there. I studied design and architecture. And then I moved to Milan and Paris to live there.
In her home country, Melania was known for her striking looks and reserved personality. Friends remember her as serious but with a sharp wit.
What was Melania like as a roommate?
The perfect roommate. Clean, neat, domestic, you know?
Her family was close-knit, with her dad Victor working as a mechanic and her mom Amalia in fashion. They instilled in her a strong work ethic and a love for education.
My elegant and hard-working mother, Amalia, introduced me to fashion and beauty. My father, Victor, installed in me a passion for business and travel.
Melania often dreamed of the amazing place called America. Sounds like a classic American dream in the making. And soon, fortune smiled on her. Melania, just 16, was spotted by photographer Stain Jerko while leaning on a fence. Jerko saw potential in this tall, slim girl with long hair and decided to take her photo. Despite her initial shyness and reserve, Jerko saw something special in her. The photos turned out great, and her modeling career took off from there.
And I traveled around the world modeling and had a great career.
Fast forward to 1992, and Melania lands in Milan, still using her original name, Melania Knabs. She was a bit of a risk taker, even doing a shoot where she played a fictional female US president. Little did she know, life would mirror that shoot decades later.
I'm proud of it. Yes, I am.
By the mid-90s, Melania is in New York with just a small apartment and big dreams. The fashion scene was wild. Think supermodels and over-the-top glamour.
I arrived in New York City 20 years ago, and I saw both the joys and hardships of daily life.
She had some risque photo shoots and even became the face of Camel Lights. Despite being a bit older than most new models, she made a mark with her seriousness and focus. Then came her big break in 1998, when Paolo Zampoli introduced her to Donald Trump.
We met in New York. It was a fashion week, and it was a party, big party, so we met there.
Now, Trump, with his flashy reputation, didn't exactly sweep Melania off her feet right away. In fact, she famously didn't give him her number immediately.
So he asked me for the number, and I said, I will not give you my number. So if you give me your numbers, I will call you.
Classic move, Melania. And it turns out Trump fell for this trick not once, but twice. His first wife, Ivanka, also didn't give him her number right away. Looks like Trump has a thing for a little mystery.
I don't know what is Melania's problem. She just has to get over it. She's First Lady of America, but I'm First Lady Trump. Excuse me.
Their relationship started off a bit unconventional. I mean, Trump was even talking about universal health care, which is definitely not what you'd expect from him. But as Melania got to know him, she realized he was serious about running for president one day.
I have been with Donald for 18 years, and I have been aware of his love for this country since we first met.
They eventually tied the knot in a lavish 2005 ceremony, surrounded by flowers and celebrities, but almost none of Melania's old friends were there. Guess those high-profile guest lists come with a few trade-offs.
Did you feel different when they said man and wife?
No. I felt that it was just so natural.
By 2014, Donald Trump was so obsessed with politics that even his advisors were wondering what he was thinking. One time, on a flight to Buffalo, Trump's father-in-law, Victor, asked campaign advisor Sam Nunberg if Trump knew what being president actually meant. Nunberg quipped, "There were only two people who seriously thought Donald Trump would win the presidency, him and Melania."
Were you involved in the decision of your husband to become president?
We discuss a lot, yes, and I encourage him.
Now it seems like Melania's life was a series of lucky breaks. But once she moved into the White House after Trump's inauguration, the media scrutinized her like never before.
I think people will always judge. Maybe they will say, oh, the past that you have, the way you were modeling. That's part of the job that I was doing. I was a very successful model.
Opinions on Melania are as divided as ever. Liberals see her as a figure of pity, with her tenure marked by a notable absence. Remember that cringeworthy video where she dodged Trump's hand-holding attempts? Yikes. And that awkward smile at the cameras? No wonder people think she's not exactly thrilled with her husband.
You're not the first lady to have to deal with her husband's alleged infidelities. Has this put a strain on your marriage?
It is not concern and focus of mine.
The hashtag I'm Free Melania captures the sentiment of those who see her as a prisoner of her own making. And don't even get started on the conspiracy theories about her having a body double, or the criticisms of her pricey wardrobe, like that jaw-dropping $51,000 Dolce & Gabbana jacket. But Trump's die-hard fans see her as the epitome of charm and elegance. Former Trump advisor Seb Gorka gushes, Melania truly is the embodiment of grace. Her old school friends are not buying the bimbo label. Petra Sadej, one of her childhood pals, says, I think she's happy. She's smart enough to handle it all.
I'm my own person, he's his own person, and I think that's very important. I don't want to change him, he doesn't want to change me.
Melania's biography, The Art of Her Deal, suggests she's been playing the long game. The author, Mary Jordan, claims Melania used various scandals, including the infamous grab 'em by the pussy tape, to renegotiate her prenup. Classic Melania move, delay moving to Washington for a better deal.
You know, I made a lot of money myself, so it's like I know how it's to work and what money means.
Former friend and aide Stephanie Winston Wolkoff shared that people often see Melania as a counterbalance to Donald Trump, giving the impression she's a hostage hoping to be freed. But maybe that's not the case. As Wolkoff wrote for the Daily Beast, the truth is Melania knows and supports Donald and his viewpoints.
Do you love your husband?
Yes, we are fine, yes. It's what media speculate and it's gossip, it's not always correct stuff.
As Wolkoff suggests, she knows exactly who she married and lives by the same principles. She's a ruthless survivor and opportunist, willing to do whatever it takes for self-preservation.
You know, to marry a man like Donald is, you need to know who you are, and you need to be very strong and smart.
Take Operation Block Ivanka as an example. Their strained relationship is no secret. Melania clearly isn't a fan of Ivanka, and this operation was next-level petty. Melania and Wolkoff made sure Ivanka was kept out of the inaugural photos and videos so her face wouldn't be part of that iconic special moment.
Stephanie says Ivanka approached her to make sure she was placed prominently next to her father when President Trump was sworn into office.
You don't do that to the First Lady of the United States of America. You do not try and position yourself.
Yes, Operation Block Ivanka was petty, Winston Wolkoff wrote. Melania was in on this mission. But in our minds, Ivanka shouldn't have made herself the center of attention in her father's inauguration.
When I spoke with Melania about the picture itself, we figured out how to make sure that Barron was in between Donald and Melania, and that to Melania's right would be Donald Jr., and that Ivanka would be next.
It's clear that Melania knows how to maneuver within the family dynamics to protect her position.
There's one First Lady, and Melania will be an unbelievable First Lady. She's a remarkable person.
And now, while Trump faces trial in the Stormy Daniels hush money case, Melania is keeping a low profile. But maybe there's a more calculated reason behind it.
And a guy walked up on me and said to me, "Leave Trump alone, forget the story." And then he leaned around and looked at my daughter and said, "A beautiful little girl, it'd be a shame if something happened to her mom."
So, after 24 years of incredible highs and lows, from her arrival in New York as a model to becoming the First Lady, Melania's story is nothing short of extraordinary. It's like the ultimate American dream, with a few nightmare twists along the way. And while it may seem surreal, one thing is undeniable. Melania Trump's rise from Sevnica to Washington, D.C. is one of the wildest American success stories ever.